So yes, in this video, I am going to show you a path to potentially get on Spotify editorial placements. But first, before I get into that, I want to give you the quick backstory because it's kind of interesting. So a little while ago, I did a review on Two Story Melody of the data analytics platform Chartmetric. And in that review, I basically said that Chartmetric is a super good platform. They offer a ton of data. They present it in a way that is pretty, like it looks good. And it seems like it could be super useful if you knew how to use it. But I also said in that review that I don't feel like I really do know how to use it and that I definitely don't use all of the features that Chartmetric has. And so I was never sure if keeping my Chartmetric subscription was worth the money or not. So that review has lived on the site for like a year. Haven't really thought about it. And then last week, kind of out of the blue, I got an email from a rep at Chartmetric asking if I would like to connect and tell me that he'd read the article and they really liked it and wanted to talk about it. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll talk about it. He sends me an invite, we get a Zoom set up, and then over the next couple days, I get notifications showing that, oh, the president of Chartmetric is going to be on the line too, and the head of product or something. Long story short, I got to have what I thought was a pretty interesting conversation with these guys. They asked me how I was using the tool, which again, I was just kind of using very small slices of it. And then they also showed me a couple of features that I didn't even know Chartmetric offered, and one of those features was something called Playlist Journey. And I think this might be the path toward getting on Spotify editorial playlists. No, I'm not affiliated with Chartmetric. They don't even have an affiliate program. And no, I don't necessarily think that Chartmetric is like the best tool for every artist. Depending on what you're doing, it might just be overwhelming. But I think this is a really cool feature, and I think it might be really useful. And one more time, I could see this being a path toward editorial playlist placements. And so with that long intro, let's flip over to the computer screen and get into it. All right, and welcome to Ye Olde Computer Screen. So I'm here in Spotify for Artists to start because I wanted to make clear at the outset of this that the only certified way to get your music on Spotify editorial playlists is to pitch upcoming releases through this Spotify for Artists portal. So there are plenty of videos on this. You can search it on YouTube. But if you schedule a song for release a few weeks in advance, and then your distributor submits it to Spotify, you will then see it appear in your upcoming tab in your Spotify for Artists portal. When you go in, you can pitch it directly to Spotify editors, and this is supposedly the only way that you can get a Spotify editorial playlist placement. Now, this is a legitimate thing. This works. I have pitched songs that have gotten placed. I have seen artists pitch songs that have gotten placed, so it's not just a total fraud. But at the same time, obviously the people who are making these Spotify editorial playlists are human, and so they're being influenced, whether it's by the music they're listening to or by, hopefully not, but sometimes personal connections of people who are sending them music and asking them, hey, could you put this on an editorial playlist? Sometimes that's labels, sometimes it's whatever, industry execs. But obviously, the people who are making Spotify playlists are humans too, so they're going to be influenced just like anybody else in terms of what they put on their playlist. So, with that said, this tool that I'm about to show you in Chartmetric is maybe one of the ways that you could influence some of those Spotify editorial playlist editors. So, I'm going to show you how this works for a big playlist like Rap Caviar. So, here's Rap Caviar. This might be the biggest Spotify playlist. I'm not sure. It's very big, 15 million likes. Travis Scott, Drake, obviously these are huge artists that make it onto this playlist. And you know it's incredibly impactful because if you're on Travis Scott's profile and you scroll down, you can see that one of the main ways he's discovered is on Rap Caviar. He's the 11th biggest artist in the world. So obviously Rap Caviar is helping artists get discovered. Also, random aside, if you've noticed, I am listening to 10 hours of continuous brown noise for sleep. If you are not listening to brown noise when you sleep, you're doing it wrong. Okay, so I don't rap. I'm not a rapper. But if I were a rapper, that would be bad. And number two, I would want to be on Rap Caviar. So I'm going to show you how Chartmetric's tool can help you think about getting on Rap Caviar. Here is the Rap Caviar profile in Chartmetric. So you could get here either by searching Rap Caviar or just by pasting the URL into the search bar. But the tab I want to focus on here is called Playlist Journeys. So here's what it looks like. You have this option to look back, look ahead, and to filter by different types of playlists. Basically what this is showing you is before a song was placed on Rap Caviar, what are the playlists that it was added to prior to that? And then after a song was added to Rap Caviar, what are some playlists that it was then added to after that? So it's kind of the flow, the roadmap, both to and from a Spotify editorial playlist placement. And if you scroll down on this list, you'll see that a bunch of the playlists that songs are added to right before getting on Rap Caviar are made by Spotify. Makes sense, right? But if you go up to this filter up here, you can do a drop down and you can actually uncheck all of these platform owned And then I also uncheck major label and commercial brand, and I leave popular, independent curator, and independent curator. I don't really know what the difference is. I guess one's just popular. I don't know. But you can leave those two checked, and then you will see only playlists that are third-party playlists that you could realistically actually reach out to and submit your music to. So let's take a look at this New Music Friday playlist, for example. So you can see 63 days before a song was added to Rap Caviar, 2 songs were added to this list, 22 days. And then right before songs are added to Rap Caviar, a bunch of them get added to this New Music Friday USA playlist curated by Hip Hop Adelic. Whoever's curating this list might be an editor at Spotify. They might have the inside scoop on the editors at Spotify, but clearly it seems like there's at least some overlap between getting added to this playlist and getting added to Rap Caviar. So what you can do is you can pull up the profile for this playlist. I would always go ahead and just look at the stats for a playlist and make sure that the follower growth curve is good. You don't see any huge spikes or sudden drops. 6,000 followers isn't a lot for a playlist that has a good overlap with Rap Caviar, but yeah, this looks pretty healthy from what I can see. And I've clicked here to open the playlist on Spotify. So if we look in the description, we can see that they have actually their Instagram handle in the description. So if I was going to pitch this playlist with the hopes of getting on it, I would go to Instagram, I'd follow them like they say, and then I might interact with a few posts and things, and then I would reach out in their DMs and I would say, hey, really like your songs on the playlist, really like the curation you're doing. I think my song would fit well with what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Here's some reasons. Generally keep these pitches short. I mean, does anyone really want to read like a novel in your DMs? But also be kind and make it obvious that you have engaged with the playlist. Now, maybe you'll get lucky and you will get placed in Hip Hop Adelic's New Music Friday playlist. More likely, you'll probably get rejected because that's just what happens. But if you go through and you just filter by this again and you just pitch all of these playlists, like there's a decent chance that you can get 1 or 2, 3 placements. And these are playlists that clearly the editors at Rap Caviar are looking at. So it's in no way a guarantee that you're going to get placed in Rap Caviar if you get placed in these playlists. But we're just saying that there's a correlation and it's worth following the roadmap of what people are doing who have then gotten placed in Rap Caviar. And obviously, Rap Caviar is not the only Spotify editorial playlist. There's an editorial playlist for pretty much every genre. I work with a lot of folk artists. I am a folk artist. And so if I were interested in getting in this folk pop editorial playlist, I would do a similar thing. I'd go to playlist journeys. I would look back. I would filter out all of the Spotify playlists and the major labels. And I would look at the playlists that have led to the folk pop playlist. So there's only 2 here. Probably I'll get rejected by both of them, but hey, it can't hurt to at least give it a shot, right? So it comes down to how much time you're willing to spend doing this kind of pitching. And honestly, it's not the most fun. But the benefit is that once you get in the playlist, you have a relationship with that curator, and oftentimes they're more likely to accept more of your music in the future. Moral of the story, do this. You're definitely going to get in Rap Caviar. Take it to the bank. Obviously, I'm just kidding with that, but I do think this is a worthwhile strategy. And yeah, I hope it's helpful. If you're interested in checking out Chartmetric, they have like a $10 a month artist plan that gives you access to playlist journeys and gives you access to 28 days of data. Again, I'm not affiliated with Chartmetric or anything, but me and Andreas are tight. I hope that's helpful. That is all I've got for this video. If you're interested in learning more about playlisting, I have a video where I break down 16 different campaigns with 16 different playlisting companies, and I'll also put a link to a review I did of SubmitHub, which is one of my favorite playlisting submission platforms. As always, here's wishing you good luck as you market your music, and I got my fingers crossed that you get on Rap Caviar or something.